All right, and welcome to this special episode of Real Estate Fight Club. This is called What Would You Do?, where we talk about professional standards, committee, and ethics violations and cases. And today we're going to talk about highest and best. And with me is Jim Camarada. Hey, Jim.
Hey, Jennifer, how you doing today?
I don't know. I'm interested to talk about this. So, can you create some context for us about like what can happen, and then let's talk and see if it's a violation.
Yeah. Well, no specific case today, but there have been a number of instances and questions in my office about when do you call for highest and best? Or one agent was under the impression, oh, well, you have to.
Yeah, I
If you
think
have
we should
two or
start
more,
there, right? Like,
if you have two or more offers, you've got to call for highest and best. And I'm sitting there going, when
I
did that
don't
rule
think you
come in?
do.
Where did that rule come in?
Right, because it's not. You don't have to. Well, not you, the seller. The seller doesn't have to. Well, I want to stop here too, because I think there's a miscommunication or misunderstanding about that part of the rules. The seller can do whatever they want, pretty much, right? So I could call you if it's my listing. I call you and I'm like, hey, Jim, they liked your offer. There was a handful of other offers, but if you can go up to, 352, you have it. And I don't have, the seller can say, you don't need to tell anybody else.
Yeah, exactly. And as long as they are, let me predicate, as long as they are not discriminating against any of the protected classes,
Right.
it's all about terms and conditions. So it's closing date. I was going to put an offer in on a property this past week, and the seller is insisting on a mid-August date. Well, this is waterfront property, and my buyer client says, no, I want to enjoy the lake.
For the
So,
summer.
yeah.
I mean, for context, you're in Minnesota. So summer is what, from June 15th to June 16th?
Ice out will be sometime this month.
Yeah, right. Okay. I don't believe you.
But the point is, it's terms and conditions. And so the seller is really in the driver's seat. And that's where a lot of agents don't always understand that. The seller is in the driver's seat. And if they want to see all four offers, all five offers, if they want to just keep it to two offers and they say, bring everything by 8 o'clock on Saturday night so I can review them Sunday morning with you, that's their call.
What is the most
Call.
common, well, highest and best? So one, you said that one of the most common things is that the sellers are not required to call for highest and best.
No.
What is another misconception that you're having to redirect?
Years ago, I had an agent call me up and say, my client made a full price offer on that property and he has to accept it.
No.
I started laughing. He says, what's so funny? I said, you?
Yeah. Right.
No, they don't have to accept a full price offer.
They
If they want
don't.
to accept something
And
more,
then,
they can.
well, or if they want to take the one that's less.
I had a situation years ago where there were two offers. They were identical. One had a $1,000 earnest money deposit. The other had a $10,000 earnest money deposit. And the difference was in the purchaser, and I'm not going to go into details because the seller remembered who walked through, and he said, I want that family to have my house because I raised my family there and I want them to raise their family there. That was borderline, discriminatory.
It is. It's discriminatory against, because I'm assuming the other person didn't bring kids, and we don't know if he didn't bring them because he didn't have them or he just didn't bring them.
Didn't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that feels discriminatory.
That was really kind of,
But you know what? I've won an offer.
Yeah. He was cautioned on that.
Yeah, I agree. But there wasn't an offer that I won. Like, it was a personal, it was a rental property I was buying. So it was between me and another investor. But the person had like a Ring doorbell. So they saw when I came and they saw when the other person came. And the other person was a little bit higher than me, but the person wasn't with an agent. So the agent gave out the code, and the seller, Right. I was like, oh, that's a violation.
Whoops,
But the seller was like, I don't think that's very professional and I don't like it. And I'd rather have the other, because they knew I had told them it was for me. Like I'm coming by myself. Like they knew all that. So when I showed up, they knew what to expect. Right. And she was like, she wants you to have it. I was like, great, I'll take it. I love that little house.
Well, right now we're also seeing if there is a projected shortfall in the appraised value from sales price,
Yeah.
will the buyer make up that shortfall?
Yeah.
And that could make or break,
Yeah.
who wins the offer. And
But
that
that's more of
happens.
a
It's
financial discrimination, which you are allowed to do that.
all finance.
Financial is not like a protected class.
No, but that's all financing, and the person that guaranteed the shortfall won. And so
Let me ask you this. So let's say, is the seller allowed? And I think my answer is yes. So we're talking about highest and best. Are they allowed to say, I just want these two offers, not the others? I just want these two to give their highest and best. They could do that.
Yeah, they could do that. Yeah. Yeah. But lots of times what I'm seeing is the last time I presented the lowest amount was the number of offerings was 6 on this one particular property.
Yeah.
And we went through, the other one was like 15. And we
Mhm.
just went through terms and conditions, financing, somebody that was offering 3% down and no guarantee versus somebody that was offering all cash and closing in a week.
Mhm.
It was kind of a
Yeah.
no-brainer, and they decided, I'm not even going to bother countering.
Right.
I,
Yeah, they don't have to, right? I
they don't
think
have to.
they can also give the direction to, there's something about like you could tell everybody what the other person's offer is too. I think that's a misconception.
If the seller directs you to
That's
do
what I
that.
mean. Yeah, I said they can direct you to do that.
Yes, I just wanted to reemphasize. Instructed by the seller.
In writing.
Yeah, I'm going to be the rule follower.
You're fine. You'll be fine. Don't worry. There's no realtor jail.
I don't tell my agents
Well,
that.
let's take a quick break. I want to tell you about a couple of our partners, but when we come back, I want to hear more about like in multiple offers, what are some best practices and things like that, and anything else you have to share for us.
Sure. Go away.
Perfect. So two of our partners I want to tell you about. One is Cyberbacker. So what they do for Monica and I is they provide a virtual assistant. Now we know a lot of people are like really hesitant about having a virtual assistant or any kind of assistant because they're afraid like nobody can do the work like they can. It's a lie. They can. So for us, they do a lot of our social media posting, things like that, some special projects, Excel stuff, things like that. So you can go to cyberbacker.com, input Fight Club, and they will give you a special prize. And then the other one is my coach, Coach John Kitchens. So I love John because, like any coach, I mean, they reveal your blind spots quickly. So if you're not where you want to be, if you're not where you want to be and you know that you need somebody to hold the mirror up to your face, Monica and I truly believe in John, and we are putting our money where our mouth is, giving you a free 60 days trial with him as your coach. You go to trial.coachcode.com and input Fight Club and you'll get that free 60-day trial. All right, Jim.
Okay.
What talk to us?
Well, I was talking with an agent last night, and because I've got a client that's interested in a particular property.
Mhm.
And some agents, pardon the expression, get diarrhea of the mouth. And
Right. That's why I call them before they do a showing on my listing, because I want to negotiate.
This is the listing agent. So
Oh,
I found out a lot more than I probably should have, but he just kept on talking. And of course, I'm representing my buyer client. So guess what? I get to share that with her. But what he did reveal, and I didn't see it in the multiple list, is that if he sold the house, he told the seller, if I sell the house, I will discount my fee to you.
Okay.
I looked on the sheet and I did not see a variable rate, and I called him on it.
That's a violation.
I said, where does it say that you've got a variable rate? Oh, well, I said, no, there is no, oh, well. I said,
Right.
I'm on the professional standards committee. Fix it.
You have been served. That's what I tell them.
Uh, So sometimes asking the question, is there a variable rate? Are there other offers?
Are any of them yours or your brokerage?
Are you personally writing an offer? And I did ask that of another agent a couple of weeks ago, and he said, yeah, but I'm still charging the same fee, so there's no variable rate.
Okay.
But it's dual agency. And I said, okay, just I gotta know.
Well,
So
one of the other
yeah,
questions
know
we've been
that.
asking too is like, what is the get it done price for them? Or would your seller authorize you to disclose to me what my buyers, like what they can do to get this house? Like you could do all that.
Oh yeah, you can always ask anything. It's whether you get an answer or not.
I mean, if you don't ask, you definitely won't get it. If you
Oh,
ask, you might get it.
ask, ask. And
I,
if you've got a good relationship with another agent, sometimes just because of the personal relationship, they'll share a little bit more with you.
yeah.
That's their call or whatever they're authorized to share.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think too, what are your best practices around if you are the listing agent communicating with the buyer's agents that are not in the running or didn't get it?
I use showing time. I don't know if you have that.
We do.
Okay. I use showing time for mass communications to all of the agents who have either scheduled or shown the property. Now it's
Okay.
up to them to check their email. I can't hold their hands, but I'm going to use that tool to blast it out,
Okay.
understand what the timeframes are, when they're due, when they're not due, who's in the running, or when a decision is going to be made. So I use that tool. I over communicate.
Yeah. So you don't have to, the seller can decide like at any time when offers are due and when they're reviewing them, right? Or does it need to be decided up front?
No, that's a discussion you have with your client. And, after 70 showings in 2 days, you may want to suggest to your seller client that we close the door and
Yeah.
call for all offers to be submitted. Notice I didn't say highest and best.
Right.
All offers to be submitted by 10 o'clock Sunday morning so we can review them at noon.
I think though, I used to work a lot in the foreclosure world, and in the foreclosure world, it was always the best practice to submit your highest and best, because they would always come back and say, oh, there's other offers or whatever, even though if there weren't, I don't know. I think they lied sometimes, but they're like, what is your highest and best? So I think it's all, for me, I think it's a best practice to always just submit your highest and best. That way your buyer doesn't have to go on this emotional roller coaster every time. You know what I mean? It's like and I tell them, look, what do you want to put on here that if you lost it by $1, you wouldn't cry?
All right. There's a story of a college football team that had a great track record of losing.
Okay.
And a new coach came in.
What kind of story is this? Yeah. Okay.
And what they were doing is, in the past, they were playing not to lose, but they were losing.
Yeah.
And a new coach came in, he said, let's play to win.
Yes.
So when I'm working with the buyer client, we're putting together an offer. I said, we're going to play to win. We're going to make an offer that's going to win.
Exactly. That's right. That's the same thing. Like put your best foot forward. This is what you're willing to do. And if they don't take it, then
Let's win. Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah. Or, having the conversation of like, hey, let's make it good enough where they are like, oh, where they stop and they think, oh, we could be done. And then, you know what I mean? Like, and that's only after you've had that conversation as the buyer's agent with the listing agent, because you need to better understand what that seller is looking for.
Yeah, where they're coming from, what's important to them. And again, it's all terms and conditions, it's financing, it's contingencies, whether you have a house to sell or not, whether you want a home inspection or not. You can have a home inspection and make it contingent or not.
Yeah.
So, so many variables, and
right.
It's just best to sit down and just talk, ask questions and talk. And then
well, a lot of listing agents are afraid to talk too, because they're unsure about what they're allowed to say, and they think they're not allowed to say stuff, and you're like, no, you're allowed to tell me that.
Yeah. And sometimes less is more.
Well, I mean,
Sometimes
if
the
it's
less
the
you say,
other side, I want more. I want
yeah,
more is
well,
more.
sometimes, again, diarrhea of the mouth, sometimes stop talking.
That's why God made a mute button.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, Jim, if people have a referral for you in Minnesota, what is the best way to get a hold of you?
Jim Camarata at kw.com, which is Keller Williams, or give me a call or text at 612-562-7461.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thanks, Jen. Good to see
Yeah,
you.
you too.